I love it. Hello, 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 and welcome. This is the open source stream currently sponsored by Cockroach Labs. I'm so bad at pointing at the logo. I'll get this someday. I'm your host, Rain Leander, developer advocate at Cockroach Labs, and every Monday we explore an open source project. Check out their getting started docs and file an issue if we find something. Um, And this week we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to talk about Camunda, which I love, love, love. I will let my colleague, my guest, introduce himself and Camunda, because I'm one of those people that I kind of know what Camunda is, but I'm not 100% sure what Camunda is. I just know that it's something to handle processes or whatnot. David, welcome. Why don't you talk to me about what is Camunda? What are we doing here?
So I have no idea what we're doing here, but
I love it. Yes, that is
Com-
accurate.
Camunda is a business process management software. So you can sort of build business process flows and handle all sorts of complex business processes by sort of orchestrating them all with Camunda.
Cool.
Yeah.
It
I don't know if
might
that
it
makes any sense, but yeah.
the part for me when I felt like I started to understand what Camunda is was when you and I were working on the IoT, the garden, the
Oh,
greenhouse
yeah.
project together, and you were like, okay, so what can you talk to me about that? And because that's a really good use case for what Camunda can do
It is. So if you yeah.
besides
So
catch water bottles.
that mess over there
Nice.
is actually the greenhouse, and it's actually working.
Which part of it? Talk to. Let's go back to the beginning. What is the greenhouse?
Okay, so I had this crazy idea
Hmm.
that I would like to build a greenhouse that is monitored by IoT sensors, and then the whole thing is managed by Camunda, right? So let's say the way I talk about it most is, let's say you're running a big greenhouse and you're growing a crop, and that crop needs the humidity in a certain range, the temperature in a certain range. They need to have a certain amount of water. Um, And so you can monitor all those things, right? And you can set it all up, set up all the sensors to do that.
Okay.
But what happens when it's time to grow a new crop?
Hmm. Hmm.
You don't want to have to go back and redo all the sensors and all that stuff. You really want a business process that somebody can go in and say, now we're growing this crop, and here are all the parameters for this crop,
For that, this is
and
corn.
boom,
Yes.
right? The greenhouse now monitors and handles itself on those parameters,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so that's really what I built. And you and I started doing some live streams about building actual hardware.
Yeah.
But then my life fell
Life.
apart. So we had to stop.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll do
um,
another project.
yeah. But so that was like what, January last year? No, February, March?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, so that project was supposed to be done in Q2 last year.
Okay.
And I actually finished it the week before Christmas.
We have those times. Do you have
And
a link to? I'm just Googling Camunda greenhouse.
I can put some links in the chat.
Oh, here we go. A
This,
proof of concept using Camunda
yes.
and IoT to control a greenhouse. This is the part 2. And I'm
Right.
going to throw it into our chat.
Okay.
Hey, Adrian.
Hey, Adrian.
Have you two met? Actually, it's small. The developer advocate world is kind of small. You two might have met at All Things Open.
We did meet at All Things Open. That's where we met. Yeah. So, but that was the we were still working on the outside hardware because I built a weather station,
Okay.
and so that's out in the yard. My wife hates it because it's ugly and it's like made with duct tape and like it's
Do you
the
have a
first
picture?
the first one I made actually kind of blew up. But I learned something. I learned about something called conformal coatings, which is something that you can paint on circuit boards to make them waterproof, but it doesn't like affect the electronics.
Ah, that is so cool.
So, because if you just put them
Conformal.
outside, even in like in an enclosure, moisture gets on them and they short out and all kinds of bad things happen. So
Got it. Got
that
it.
was not great. Um, I should probably put conformal coatings on this stuff in the greenhouse just in case I spill. But the only thing in the greenhouse that actually I'm not using is the water pump.
Hmm.
And that's because it's made for watering like really big plants. Um, and have really little plants.
Nice. Maybe can you get like a mister or something since the scale of the greenhouse is so tiny? Or would that be beyond the scope of the project? I just I just want to come over to your house and play with your IoT stuff.
I have a lot of fun when I get to do it.
Yeah. While David grabs that, I'm going to do a shout out. If you are watching on LinkedIn or Facebook, sometimes the connection between the restream is a little bit glitchy. Be sure to subscribe to YouTube. That's where our okras are based off of. But in the meantime, you're back, the mister. Let's see.
So this is the pump,
Hmm.
and it's got this giant tube. And it turns out for this little tiny pump, if you have to drop the whole thing in water,
Yeah,
and then it pumps out the tube, and in like 4 seconds it'll flood that little greenhouse.
got it.
It's really efficient. So I don't know about putting a mister on it or just a smaller hose, but that was it was too much at the time. I was running out of time. So,
Yeah, 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 totally.
and in the week of Christmas when that was actually all happening, there's a servo that opens the door
Yeah,
and there's a fan that I can turn on and off.
yeah.
And the servo broke the little arm that opens the door and closes.
Hmm.
So it was working for a while and now it's just open because if I make it open or close, bad things happen. So,
Oh, that's
yeah.
heartbreaking. So Camunda is the part that is like, okay, our temperature is too high, so
Yes.
we theoretically open a window and turn on a fan. Um, Camunda decides, okay, the temperature is too low, blah, blah, blah. And then Camunda, does it interact with database? Does it have its own database?
So I'm going to try and open
Oh, you're going to share screen?
I'm going to try to share my screen.
Okay. Adventures in streaming.
Okay, so share my screen.
If y'all have any questions about Camunda or information of things or open source, frankly, let us know in the chat. And I'm going to let David sort out his shared
Can you see
screen a
that?
little bit. Yes, I can. Here you go.
Okay, so this is the process that runs the greenhouse. And I'll step you through what's going on. So this is a timer event.
Can you
And
make it
this,
bigger?
I can probably embiggen it, yes.
Embiggen it?
Is that better?
Yeah, bedankt.
Okay. So this is a timer event. And this timer repeats every 2 minutes.
Okay. So it's sensing every 2 minutes?
So every 2 minutes, it says, we're growing something.
Mm-hmm.
And it kicks off, and these are what's called parallel process events. So it kicks off this, which starts one of these, and starts one of these, and starts one of these, and starts one of these simultaneously, right? And I'll just go through one of them because it's so the CO2 monitor, right? So when this gets here, it starts a CO2 process and it checks the CO2. And what it actually does is it goes out to the database that I have and does a query for the average CO2 over the last 2 minutes and gets a number back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I have these. So it gets that number back and it sends it to this gateway. And if the CO2 is greater than 1500 and it's less than 3000, that's really high, right, for this crop. If I look at this one, if it's greater than 300, the plants are probably going to die. I know that if I go in there, I'm in serious danger of dying, right? And if it's neither of those, so it's below 1500, right?
Yeah.
Because it didn't match either of these, it goes this way. And it says, okay, CO2 is normal, right? And the process ends. And what these are called escalation events. And so it kicks off the escalation event, whether it's a normal, a high, or a critical. And it sends that information to this other sub process down here
Mm-hmm.
that sends a message to the vent control
Mm-hmm.
to open the vent. And what it, so this one will say, sends fan on, vent open, no pump.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's critical. So we want the doors open, we want the fans on,
You want
the whole
everything.
compartment, the whole bit.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Fire.
This one sends the command that says we don't need a fan, we don't need a vent, and we're not doing anything with the pump. Right.
Okay.
Right. This one, no fan, but we'll open the vent.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So each one of these escalation events will send different sets of commands to, and this is the vent control, which controls both the vent and the fan. So it opens the vent and or turns on or off the fan, right?
Yeah.
And then, so here's the fan control message, right? So if we're going to turn the fan on, this one is called, right? So it gets the escalation events as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then way down here is the pump control messages. And they only get sent from here. We check the soil moisture, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's too wet, turn the pump off if it's on. If it's too dry, turn the pump on, right? That's it.
Is
then
is the pump only checked every 2 minutes then?
It is, and that's one of the problems is
Okay.
that I need to come back and fix this.
Yeah.
What I really need to do is have the pump go on for a specified amount of time. Right?
Yeah, like seconds in this case.
Yes. So now, infinite recursion. I love recursion. But what I'm going to do is uh, I'm going to find my database dashboard here.
Okay.
And I'll share that, and we can see what's actually going on in the. But before I do that, I have to get the password. So.
Yeah, I've got your screen off scene, by the way. So
Thank you.
you can type your password with ease. Only I can see it.
Because they've disabled my built-in password checker thingy. Okay, so
Oh.
now we can go back to sharing my screen. Do I have to start it again, or can you start it?
Nope, I've got you.
Okay,
Do you embiggen it?
I can, but let me get to the actual dashboard that we're going to use before I embiggen things.
Oh wow, you've got a lot of dashboards. Oh, and you're using
I'm using Influx right now for this.
Influx.
Yep. So uh, we'll enable auto refresh. We'll refresh every 10 seconds. So we can see that, the CO2 level, here's the CO2 level. It's fairly high. I should quit breathing. That'll fix it. So here's my CO2 level. Here's my soil moisture level, right? Here's the temperature, and it's in
So
Celsius.
cool. Yeah,
And
as
here's
it
my
should be.
right, and here's the relative humidity,
Mm.
right? So um, the this process is actually, I may have halted it because it sends out a lot of messages and it was just overwhelming me. So this process actually goes and does these queries
Mm-hmm.
and then puts the data back and either turns the fan on, opens the vent, or turns the pump on based on what it gets back from that, right?
Yeah.
And I have to redo this model. I had a great meeting with one of my colleagues, Dehan, the other day about how I could do this model better,
Mm-hmm.
so that these things sort of run autonomously, and so that I can make those global variables of here are all the limits I want to set, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
right now the way it's happening is I would have to go into each one of these. Humidity is greater than 50%, or
Mm.
humidity is less than 75%, right? And that
So
would
what
take
did
a
he
lot of
say?
time. So there's a sub process that I can add to this where
Mm-hmm.
I can set all those variables, right?
Oh,
And
cool.
so I can just go in and I can update those variables in the sub process, and it will fan them out to all of these other sub processes, right?
Oh, that's nice.
So that these amounts will be variables instead of hard coded, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can have high floor and high ceiling, and
Yeah,
critical
yeah, yeah,
floor and
yeah.
critical ceiling, right? So I can set those as a
Yeah, yeah.
per instance variable, and then I can just change that, and I don't have to redeploy, because right now if I change these, I would have to go and redeploy the model to the runtime. So,
Oh, okay. Bit of a pain to the database, right?
yes. So let's try. We're going to go to, I think that's the right address. Yeah. No. Did I kill it? All right. So let me go make sure that Camunda's actually running.
Are you running Camunda locally on your system, or is it
No.
something that can run on the greenhouse, or it's a
It's running
cloud?
on a server.
Nice.
So I'm running an individual instance of it on my
Server that you own?
yes.
Okay. And is that the open source version or is that the enterprise version?
So I was running the open source version, but I wanted to be able to show the features of the enterprise version.
Right.
So I'm now running the enterprise version. Um,
What's the difference?
I will show you as soon as I don't know if you're showing my screen right now, but
I am showing your screen right now. Do you want me to stop?
no, no, it's fine. I
Okay.
just have to figure out what port Camunda's running on because I have so much stuff running on this server.
That is a lot. Look at that. What?
Yeah. Um,
Dear Cockroach Labs, I would also like to have my own server. Thank you.
well, this is like nobody. I pay for this, and I can
Oh.
give you space on this server if you want. But
What?
why is? Oh, I wonder if it's running on it. No.
I almost can read that, except not at all. Are you working on a Linux system or?
Yeah, it's CentOS. So
Oh.
there
Are
we
you
go.
using CentOS Stream or CentOS OG, old school?
Old school. So can you see my screen still?
Yes.
Okay, so I will go into
Ooh, I
cockpit.
see stuff.
Yes, you see stuff. So all this stuff down here is actually enterprise version. Um, but let's
Touche,
go see.
Adrian. We are serverless. I need to not ask for servers because we are serverless. Touche. Touche. Thank you, Adrian.
So I have a whole bunch of stuff running here. I actually have an automatic Skittles dispenser that runs on Camunda.
Can you make
And
it bigger?
yes, can you see that?
A little bit bigger.
Can you see that?
Awesome.
So this is my automatic Skittles dispenser. And what happens with my automatic Skittles dispenser is I have these little um, IoT cameras. They're really small, and it there's a button that you can push that it will take a picture of you, and then it goes in and it evaluates that picture, and it actually uses Google's AI to look at the picture and decide, first of all, is it a person? If it's not a person,
Right.
then the dogs don't get Skittles.
Right.
Um, and if it is a person, then it sort of evaluates your mood, right?
Oh.
Um, and it decides how many Skittles that you get based on your happiness, your anger, your surprise, and your joy, right? So it goes in and it looks at all things and it decides on my highly
Wait.
secret proprietary formula how
So
many Skittles you get,
if you're
and then it dispenses them.
if you're happier, do you get more Skittles? Or
Okay,
it
so
does it totally sounds like profiling. I'm just kidding.
it's totally so. Um,
Angry Skittles? Oh my gosh. Does it give you
and
more Skittles if you're angry? I really need more Skittles.
so if your anger is greater than 0%, it takes your anger amount and multiplies it by 5, right?
Okay.
And if your anger is less than or equal to 0, it you get no extra Skittles for that, right?
Okay. Okay.
And then we have um, joyful Skittles, right?
Oh my god, joyful Skittles.
This is my completely, absolutely 100% and entirely made up random calculation based on your joy. Takes your joy amount, divides it by 4, and then multiplies that by 20.
Very scientific.
I,
This is behavioral psychology at its best.
I made all of this up.
Mhm.
Right?
I fully
Sad,
support it.
right? Sad Skittles, you get your sad amount times
Three
three,
times.
right? Right?
Okay, so angry is worth more than sad. Go on.
Yep. Um, and then it takes your all of your. Oh, this is the old one. No, sorry. Um, so there's surprise Skittles too, right? And that's times divided by three and multiplied by two.
I love this so much.
It's totally made up, right? But
I love this so
it
much.
runs these, and here we is this, yeah, decide Skittles. If it's a not a picture, you get nothing.
Right. You actually have to be there.
Right. It has to be a person because
It has to be a person,
trust
not a ghost
right or my dog and my
or
dog
dogs.
would teach himself to push the button and take him picture so he could have Skittles. So that cannot
100%.
happen.
Right. You've
So it
also built a dog treat dispenser as well, haven't you? And
it
it has
it
to be a
turns out
dog
it turns out it's the same
concept.
hardware.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So then at the end, it just adds up all the Skittles, right? Your angry Skittles, your sad Skittles, your surprise Skittles, and your joy Skittles.
Okay.
And it dispenses
That number of Skittles.
that number of Skittles, whatever that is. And again, if it's not a picture, like it's not a person, you get nothing.
Right.
Because trust me, Bruno would be at this thing all day going, Skittles, Skittles, Skittles. He's a dork.
I feel like I need to build this. Is it online? Did you upload the schema?
I have not, but I absolutely should because oh actually I may have I built this thing originally for it was the very first thing I ever did in Camunda, and I joined the company the first week of October of 2020, and the first thing they said is, hey, can you do a project for us for Halloween? Okay. I don't know what Camunda is and I don't know what Camunda does, but sure.
I'll do it.
So,
No problem.
so yeah, sure. So that's what I did is I built this actually, and the original version was I may even have that
I found the link.
the
Or not the
uh,
original version, but I found the blog.
yeah, it's on our website. The blog's on our website, and I don't think I'm running that model anymore. So here's my greenhouse, and there's 17 running instances and 39 incidents. So I've certainly broken something, right? And here it is in all its glory. And it is paused. See this little,
Wow,
you probably can't
cool.
see that because it's too small, but
Tiny. This
is
is
that
the
better?
dashboard for ants. Yes, thank you.
Right? So it's suspended because
Because
it
they're
was
like,
going
you broke too much.
it was going absolutely bonkers. And let's go to my task list. And there's most likely a bunch of oh, there's no tasks. Okay.
None.
I took care of them all. Um,
I wonder where it's breaking.
let's go back to, and yes, I do have something called the Dictator Bot that runs. Um,
Does does somebody want to know what that is? Do I want to know what that is?
um,
I'm
I can
scared.
show you. No, it's so. Um, I'm part of something called the DevRel Collective. So if you're
Yes.
a DevRel professional, you can join this DevRel Collective, which is on Slack. And I'm
Right.
also part of the admin team that runs that. And we get applications like you cannot believe, and we have to process them all. And so we call ourselves the benevolent dictators. And the Dictator Bot decides who's on call this week. and
Ah, okay.
and lets that person and all the other benevolent dictators know this person's on call that week. And also, if I'm on call but I can't do it, then I can send a command to a Slack command
To the bot.
and to the bot and put somebody else on call.
Okay. Okay. And
And
that's
so it's,
devrelcollective.fun, right?
yes, it's devrelcollective.fun. And you probably can't uh, see this because it's very small. Um, and for some reason, blowing this up blows up like everything. Right, so it makes everything big. But I can go and I look at the history. And this is the history for today, but I can look at all the history. And it's sent 31 messages and it's updated the on-call 26 times. So this is part of Enterprise Edition as well, is I can see history of what's happened, right?
So the
And I
open
can,
source version doesn't have history, or is it limited?
it does not have history. And it also doesn't have this really cool heat map, right?
Wow, that's cool. For
So
how
here's where
much it's gone through that process?
so here's how many times I've sent it a message, a Slack message, and it's gone and says, is this person an authorized user? And it has to go look up the authorized users. Here's if somebody just asks for help, if you ask for who's on call,
Yeah.
if you ask to see what the rotation is, all these other things, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not an authorized user, then it formats a message and it sends you a message
Yeah.
saying, no,
Mm-mm.
go away.
Mm-mm.
But then it also has this timer event
Mm-hmm.
that goes off every Monday at 1 p.m. to update the on-call status and set a new benevolent as on call. And so you'll see
Okay.
that that's why this has got much more activity,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Is because this is what happens more often. People don't often send a message to it. We just wait for it to tell us what to do, right?
I need one of those bots in my life. Just
And I
tell me
can
what to
even
do.
go, so I can even go into uh, the the actual an actual instance that ran, right? And it was an auto dictator instance. So it's stuck here. And you can see that I'm in this one and it updated the on call. It formatted a message and then it completed. And
Nice.
so I can, and here are all this is each of the steps,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and I can see if there were any variables. There weren't, right? But I can see what was, I can actually step through and see what was going on, what that actual process was. And it tells me what that process was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in history,
Yeah.
but I can go back to runtime and there's nothing happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not
Nothing's
Monday
because
at
it's not
1.
Monday at 1 o'clock,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I could go send it a message and we could see that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll just go back here and we'll go down to greenhouse, which is, I
It's a lot of red
yep.
incidents. That's
And I can see
39.
and I can see all the history on it. This is just today and it's been stalled, so I'll just do all history. And it's run a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
54 instances here, 50 here. And I can turn the heat map on. You can see what's been going on. It's all backed up here waiting, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
waiting for all these other processes, and that's what's backed up. And so this helps me to design a better process
Yeah.
because I can hear and look and say, wait, why am I doing this? I don't need to do that, right? I don't need this gateway to wait for everything to arrive here before it goes out, right?
Right.
Why don't I can just have it go here, and this is why I turned it off was because every 2 minutes it puts a user task in my queue to tell me and it shows me all the variables and what was done. Every 2 minutes, it's like I can't keep up with them. Like going in saying, oh, that one, and then completing that task. And so there's in a large ways there's no reason to even have this one, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
should what I should have is some escalation events for here didn't go well here, right? And if
Right.
that happens, then I want to see a task show up that I have to go and look at so that I can go and fix it, right?
Yep, yep, yep.
Um,
Don't bother the on-call technician unless there's an actual fire.
right. Don't bother the on-call technician every 2 minutes with, yep, we checked the temperature. Yep, we
Yep.
checked the CO2.
Temperature's
Yep,
still
we did it.
there.
Yep,
Yep.
yep, still there,
Yep.
still happening. Yep,
Still
all works.
existing. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So does this start to make more sense now
It
what
totally
Camunda
does.
does?
How does one get started with Camunda? Like, let's say I want to dive into the open source project.
Right.
Besides collaborating on the docs, which we're pretty comfortable with, um, what language, for example, is Camunda written in the open source
It's
version?
it's written in Java.
Oh, cool.
Have so if you want to like actually contribute to Camunda
Mm-hmm.
itself, that's in
Mm-hmm.
Java. There are other ways to contribute. So if we go and we look at this is what's called the modeler, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's where you build models. So I can create a
Decision
new
models.
yeah. So I can create a new model, and let's say I'm hungry.
I,
Okay,
it's
that's
nice
what's
to
going to
meet
kick
you,
it off,
Hungry. I'm Rain.
right? And so what to eat? Well, actually, let's not use that one. Let's do this.
Can you make it bigger?
Yes, I can, but now it's off the map. There. Can you see that?
No, where did? Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. And I can make this whatever kind of task I want. So I can make this a user task, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I will go in and decide what to eat. And then I've decided what to eat. And let's say this one is going to be
So the diamond is
cookies.
decision.
Yeah, it's a decision, right?
Okay.
And then this one's going to be um, mac and cheese.
Oh, I love it. Cookies, mac and cheese, or ice cream. That's
How did you know I was
those
going
are
for ice cream?
those are my three options for lunch every day.
I
I'm
was
a
actually
very healthy person.
I was going for ice cream next, right? So, and I could clean this up a little bit by no, so it's more readable, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Get ice cream. Make cookies.
Order mac and cheese.
So, there's all sorts of stuff I can do here. This is a really simple one, right?
Yeah, totally.
Um, and then, so we're gonna bring these all back together.
Because then you eat.
And the next thing we do is eat food. And then, since we ate food,
I just learned about nugs today. Have you heard of nugs, David?
no. What are nugs?
Exactly. So they're chicken nuggets that are not made from chicken.
Oh, yes, I have heard of them.
Yeah, I totally have ordered some, maybe more than I should.
Well, and funny that you should mention that. I was just talking to my wife the other day, and I may have to go spend another year being vegan. So um, my cholesterol is going up, right? And that, so what I do is like every, I don't know, it's been 10 years now. I went vegan for a year and my cholesterol dropped to like the basement. And then I stopped being vegan and it's been slowly creeping up. But after 10 years, it's like my doctor's like, now it's high. So, but
Oh.
that's got nothing to do with this. So, right, this is my process. I'm hungry. So I'll decide what to eat. And then
Wait, did you just talk about your cholesterol and we're deciding to eat between the ice cream, cookies, and mac and cheese? I think I understand why
Listen.
yours and my cholesterol is a little bit high.
So let's go ahead and make this an actual. We'll actually do something with this. We'll make this an expression, and it is food equals ice cream. I
Okay.
need to spell ice cream, right? And well, actually, you know what? Let's not do that because this is going to be the default.
Ice
If
cream
we
should
don't,
always be the default. If we don't
ice
choose
cream's the
anything, we
default.
have ice cream.
We end up with ice cream, right? And so we'll make this an expression and we'll say food equals Mac. And I'll have to go check my other one to see if I've got the syntax right on this because I never know. Yeah, I did get it right. Okay. So, and this one will be an expression food equals cookies. Okay.
Okay.
And we'll make this another user task so that we'll actually have to do that. Okay. And now we'll go down here and we'll deploy it. We have to, so let's call this our food model. And
I totally not doing what the doctor ordered food model.
right. And it said deployment succeeded.
Oh, cool.
So now if we go back to our dashboard.
And I know
And one,
you have the enterprise version running, but this
yeah,
is all within the scope of the open source version as
this
well,
stuff is,
right?
yes, this is all in the scope of the open source. And you'll
Mm-hmm.
see that, where is it?
Where'd it go?
Oh, I didn't name it. So it's called process 16YDXVZ,
Nice.
right? Here it is.
Yeah, like you do.
Okay. Like you do. So if we go over here to our task list and let's start a process, we'll start this obviously named one and we're going to add a variable name, which is food. And it's a string.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, we're just going to make it empty. And we'll start. The process
Enjoy your
has been
walk.
started. Right? Oh, look, we have a task. It's called what to eat. Right?
Nice.
And we're going to claim this task. And let's add a variable. Let's say food. It's a string. And we'll say cookies.
Stay warm. Think of freshly baked cookies while you take
Complete.
the walk.
And now, oh, food. Do you see that?
Nice.
So let's go back to our
I love it.
And we'll go here and we have this. And you can see that I was hungry. I decided what to eat. I said cookies. Apparently, I made the cookies. You didn't see me, but it was really fast.
It
And
was
now I get to
impressive.
and now eat food, right?
I love
And if
it.
I go and if I go back to my task list, I have one task which is eat food, and I can claim that task because I'm the hungry one, not you, and I can complete that task, and now I'm done. So what
I'd say
we
that's arguable. I am hungry as well.
okay, that's fair.
Can I
But I can't.
use this? Um, you can't determine whether or not I'm hungry. Is that what you were about to say?
No, I can't give you a cookie over the internet. But
That internet fail. Absolutely.
but the other thing I can do, so make cookies,
Hmm.
huh? Right? But I can also make this a an expanded sub process.
Right.
So I can make this actually uh, um,
A recipe where it gives
a
you
a
like
sub process,
get a flour, get sugar,
right?
get eggs, get chocolate
And there's a,
chips.
there's a and basically in that sub process, I can put my model of how I have to make cookies, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I can have decisions like, do I have flour? Do I have
Yeah,
chocolate chips? Do
yeah,
I, depending on what kind of, and I can make different sub process for different kinds of cookies. And so
yep.
I could have another decision here of what kind of cookies do you want? Do you want
Hmm.
sugar cookies
Hmm.
or chocolate chip cookies or snickerdoodles? And
You're
right,
killing
so you
me.
can see how it can get bigger and bigger, but you can collapse these sub processes so it just looks like make cookies, and then another process runs, which is actually the make cookies part, right?
Yeah, yeah. So if I'm okay,
And
if
this is
I am
so
someone then
modeler's free and open
hmm
source. So you can go download it for Camunda and you can build your models,
okay.
right? Uh, the Camunda engine, which is what we use over here,
Hmm.
is free and open source. So you can go download. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. You can download what's called the platform, which is a Java application, and you can just run it and you can deploy models to it and run those models. You can also do this as a sort of as a Spring Boot application. So you can download you can build your own Java process in Spring Boot that incorporates all of this
Hmm.
and deploy that, and then you can have all the anything that's not a user task you can actually have run as a uh, as a Java process within that same Spring Boot application.
Yeah, cool. This is so cool. I just want to go play now. We do not have time to play today.
Well, what it does
Um,
is it makes you want to like model everything that you do, right? So that you can like lay out all of the things, all the steps. And whether I run the model or not, I at least have a model now of here's all the steps that I have to do. And then I can take each one of those steps and I can break them down into sub models. And I may not run it as a business model, but at least
exactly.
I
It's
can see it's all laid out, right?
exactly. It seems like this would be incredible for the daily to-do list, the recipe database. Um,
Right.
I literally every day for lunch and the afternoon snack have no idea what I'm going to eat. And so something like this would be awesome to like just randomize sandwich salad soup or whatnot. And
Yep.
David, you froze. Okay, you're back. Um, and and just tell me what to eat, so I don't have to think about it.
So I could go in here and make this a service task, right?
Hmm.
And it would call an external service to roll the dice and come back with a number, and based on the number it would pick that. I could have it be a script task, and I can actually add a JavaScript script in this little window over here
Nice.
to decide randomly
A
whether
randomizer.
it
Nice.
can randomize so that I get ice cream every day. I don't know how that
you're
happened.
This stream is gonna get you in so much trouble with your doctor and with my doctor. But unfortunately, it is time for us to go for the day.
Okay.
David, thank you so much for joining me today, talking about Camunda, talking about Internet of Things. We had some great questions from good friends. And hello, Adrian, who's now walking his corgi in the freezing cold New York weather. It's been a bit of Skittles day. It's been a bit of Dogs day.
Biased pseudo random generator seems familiar. Yes, it is.
Exactly.
The one thing to know about random numbers is that they're not.
They're not. It's good to see you, Bok Joe. Yeah. So thank you so much. If you want to get another IoT project going, I would love to do one with you. It was a lot of fun, and it doesn't have to be a greenhouse. It could totally be a M&M dispenser just to run it. Actually, I think you and I working on a project to do together is a very bad idea. Now that I think about it, I think our cholesterol will not be able to handle that.
Well, Skittles are low cholesterol.
Oh, I'm listening.
Yeah, they're high sugar, but they're low cholesterol. And what I really wanted was a gummy bear dispenser, but
They
little buggers stick together, and it's
stick.
really hard to. So
Yeah.
I have to design an actual dispenser for them, and once I have that, then we can build one that like dispenses them.
Okay. Challenge accepted. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you for joining me today. Oh, it's really good to see you, Paul, as well. Um, yeah, we're having a lot of fun.
Thanks
Next,
for having me.
yes,
I'll come back
anytime.
anytime. Just let me know. Just come. Just let me know.
Yes. So you are officially my first guest on the open source stream. I normally am just like exploring like a noob what a new project is. I like this format a lot. Let me know if you're interested in being a guest. You have to have an open source stream, but we'd love to talk to you about your projects as well. And David's putting the Skittles link up because it's open source as well, right?
Yeah, I gotta actually go find it. It's yeah,
I love it. Cool.
but I'll send it to you,
And
and you can put it on there. So
perfect. And for some reason, my music completely went away. So there we are. There we
I
are.
got it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Oh, tomorrow is casual coding. Wednesday and Thursday is developing with CockroachDB, and the workshop in the office hours. And Friday is, yeah, I'll be playing with roaches again. We're playing with Dev Sisters. Thanks for joining me, David. We're gonna dance our way out of here.